the nose. Oh, can you tell me how?
A little too late. So it's a lot to digest. Probably trim this for
I'm glad you stopped by. Take him to him, baby. Take him up again. Oh, can you tell me how? Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Not only is this episode 100, but this is Charice Rodgers, everybody.
Hello.
My Gemini sister.
Yes.
Sweetest.
2 days.
We're only 2 days apart?
2 days.
I always forget that aspect. I'm bad with numbers, I'm realizing as an adult.
Numbers are my best friend, so
No shit.
I got you.
When you told me we've been friends for how long now, Charice?
2019.
2019?
Yes.
4
years.
You're saying you're good with numbers, and then
I said
I'm
that
over
my
here.
best friend. I didn't say I was quick.
But at one point, you tell me like you had an office job, and I just couldn't imagine you in an office job. Like I don't know, that just something about the water cooler doesn't seem lively enough for Charice. You know?
I completely understand why you would think that.
Yeah, but I only watch you ball out on stage almost 90% of the time when I see you.
That part, and I kind of bring out a different person
Yes.
when I'm on stage.
Does that feel like a character to you?
Sometimes I've kind of, played with it a little bit, big hair, don't care kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And it is a little freeing sometimes. But it's very much still me. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I've kind of always been the showy drama. Even when I was 3, I was, just acting.
How so?
I was called the drama queen, so I was always just singing and, making people laugh and just putting on a show.
Yeah.
And I like to put on a show. I like to entertain. So,
What's like the first documentation of you actually putting on a show as a kid?
the sad part, Matt, I don't have a lot. There isn't much.
Really?
No one was recording this stuff. I just remember it.
So what do you remember first then?
Oh gosh. Like on a stage,
Mm-hmm.
I attended this charter school called the Choir Academy. We are the CHOIR Academy.
Oh,
The kids wrote that.
that got hot at the end. Like it was really like
I'll
children's
never forget
choiry.
it. I will never forget it. And so I did everything music there. It was amazing. Recording, drums. I played the freaking djembe. Like, who was doing that,
You played kit?
I
You played drum kit?
No, I did the quads, and like we kind of dabbled in everything. Piano, singing, everything.
I was gonna say I went the extra mile to mic that kid up, and I didn't think you'd be the first one to play. But like, if you feel like getting
No.
down at okay, never mind. But that's crazy. So what age did you go into this? Like
11.
So was that the perfect timing for how long you've been singing, or was it like a finally?
It was the perfect timing because it was mostly, in the car, in the shower, waking my mom up at 6:00 in the morning in the shower before school.
Just ripping it?
Yeah, and then she actually was walking by this school. It was brand new, and she's like, "This is where my daughter should be."
That's right.
She was walking back to school one day, so
My family has the opposite experience where my sister can't sing at all,
Mm-hmm.
but she'll rip it. Like she just is horrible, but like really proud. And she used to do God Bless America.
those are my
Like-
favorite people.
I would say the same if I didn't have to hear this growing up. Like it was bad. How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 siblings.
And you're just are you rowdy in the middle or?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I'm a middle child.
And those middle children normally don't get seen, so you were like, I'm gonna do this. Like you're gonna know who Charice.
I guess so. Unintentionally.
Well, so you go in at 11 and like first couple productions that year. Are you doing theater and shit like that?
It was mainly choir stuff. So all the children's choirs, like you said, we did all kinds of things, renditions of the Temptations and the Supremes, and
Rad.
classical stuff too. So
And is it like is it tough schooling, or are you like
no,
okay
no,
smooth sailing?
Yes, yes, and it was like an 8 to 5 kind of thing. Literally, we would be at school from 8 to 5, and I didn't want to leave. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And was the pacing right for you the whole time? Like I feel like in a normal schooling experience, you have one subject that just kind of ruins you, and the other stuff is like, no, I can do this. Like,
It's funny you asked me that because I was literally just thinking about this yesterday. I was a school freak. I was what some people call the teacher's pet. I just loved it all. So, I did everything I could to learn and to excel at it.
yeah.
To be an overachiever. But this is what I was thinking about just yesterday, probably, how I actually ended up getting an F in math. Not because I was a bad student. Numbers girl, right?
Yeah.
He wanted to get my attention. That was what he told my parents. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, what a
Silly.
confusing thing for a teacher to do for
So,
word
no,
though.
I was good.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of personality is very different as an adult, and I feel like one of the things I'm going to struggle with this episode is what I put below your name for like the things you do, because in the last 4 years I've known you, you've tacked on a lot of trades and whatnot.
Yes.
Like, to stay a student kind of thing? Do you still love just picking up new hobbies, new things?
I do. I am a learner of life. You know what I mean? I'm a student always, and I anticipate being a student even when I'm 60, because there's always something left to learn.
Yeah.
You know.
So do you go itching for these things? Like,
No.
like the one that I was most thrown off by, but excited about, was the real estate thing. Where it's just like,
I know.
I can't
know.
imagine walking into a home and it's empty, but Charice is there. She goes, I think you'd be happy here. And you're like, you got me.
Except I'd be singing it.
If you were singing it when I came in, I'd be like, she's crazy. I'm sure I'm getting charged for that. I'm out. Like, this is too tight.
But it would leave the impression that, you'd need for that home, though.
What if I came in with, like, you start doing that, but I go, like, corporate and I have themes. Like, I have, like a parachute pants. Like, I want to do, like, a Run DMC. Like, they come in, and I'm just gliding, Okay, my bad.
Do you, boo? You know I always say that.
I'm going to undercut you on a lot of duplexes. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm going to fuck around. Like, but why?
A couple reasons. I think, okay, so this kind of speaks to a little bit of my personality. I am a little bit type A, so that's kind of where the office desire comes from. Like, I'm able to work in an office but still be a creative, because those don't usually mesh. Right?
No, definitely not.
But it's just my personality. It's something I loved organizing, just, I don't know why. I can't explain it. It just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And so that was one reason I always knew I wanted to get into real estate. I wanted to, eventually own something commercial, and then the other reason I started talking to my family, and we're talking about how we can get ahead as a family. And one of the things that my sister and I both decided to do was to go ahead and get our real estate licenses.
Together?
Yeah. So she's actually licensed in Kentucky and I'm in Ohio. So we kind of are dominating together,
That's gnarly, especially when you say it like that. Like, that sounds like a billboard of just like,
exactly.
Rodgers sisters.
Yes.
Selling you home and keeping you wonderful. Whatever it needs to be. Just like just big, bold text.
Selling you home and keeping you warm.
Jesus. I'm in for reasons that I can't describe, okay? Just what's been the scariest part of that?
Talking to people, which is crazy because, and I would rather sing it though, that's kind of that part, but I'm totally here for it though, you know.
I feel like that's the one you're more used
that.
to though. Like, you've had so much. How many hours of stage time you think you had in your life?
Thousands of hours.
Really?
Yes.
And do you feel like most of that is like in the academic sense, like having your opportunities start at 11 in a really strict way?
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone always talks about the 10,000 hours thing, and it also depends on what you do in those 10,000 hours. Like you could spend that spinning yourself in a circle, or you could have a really well set up academic opportunity for someone to come out not only competent but comfortable after.
Well, okay. You asked if it was in the educational sense, and I would say not a lot of it. And it kind of speaks to my personality as well, because I have been a venturer. I'm wandering, I'm searching. Seeking is probably the best word for it. I did a little bit, in school, 6th to 8th grade. And then once I got to high school, I actually stopped singing for a couple years, went and did some sports, played volleyball, softball.
What position were you in volleyball?
Volleyball, I was a setter, and I kind of was in the back. I'm too short.
I was going to say, are you 5'2", 5'3"?
Less.
What? How tall are you?
I'm
5
5.
foot?
Yes.
I only see you in heels, like
Right.
amazing heels,
Well, when I want to.
Okay, yes, I did see you roll up in some flats, but you did have a baby at that point in
That
time.
part.
Yeah, exactly. More comfortable shoes.
Yes.
That's when I should have worn the heels, to be honest.
True.
Like, take my
True.
opportunity. When I see Prince dance in pumps, I wonder, who's making these shoes for him? Because they're definitely not comfortable, but they look amazing, and they're obviously holding up.
Now, I don't know.
You didn't
I
like it?
think they're more comfortable than people actually realize they are. You need to try them.
In the 80s, though, when it's when he's just getting these made custom.
Pumps are the best heels that you could actually have on your feet.
And is that because it's like a wide base?
Because it's a wide base. It's very sturdy.
Yeah.
You are grounded.
I can't understand people that walk in anything like a stiletto heel, because it
I
just
love
seems like
heels.
the balance on those two front corners of your feet is so weird. In yoga, they always talk about the four corners of your feet, feeling
Okay.
comfortable and flat through that. So it's you're really taking all that shit.
Away.
Exactly.
Just don't have it.
And it's hey, why don't you have some high concentration martinis and dabble in gravity a little bit? You know what I mean? See what this shit's like.
I bought my first pair of heels when I was probably 9. My mom was upset because she sent me to the store with some money.
Yeah.
And I came back with some black heels. That's how much I love them. So
Honestly, what a crazy child statement to make, where it's I'm a baller now. Shit just got real.
those hurt though. Those really hurt.
But maybe it's a good point that the pumps, it was a good choice. One, because he is so short. It's Prince is just a small man. Well, okay. But then he's also coming out, open up for Rick James, pretty much wearing less than a male bikini bottom, just doing the thing.
Yeah.
You're wow, he might be 4'9",
Right. Shorter than me. I aspire to be more like him, though, because he just defied the odds, He wanted to do and be different, and he did.
Yeah. I feel the more stories I hear about just the things behind the music, the more my mind is just demolished by him.
Yeah.
I was talking to my buddy Jeff Rowe, who came on the show probably about 6 or 7 episodes ago. And we went to Party Source at 9:30 in the morning and smoked a cigar and listened to some Prince and just hung out.
I love that.
And it was deep. He walked me through Sign of the Times and a bunch of shit that I in the rave. I'd never listened to that.
Yeah.
And he starts telling me that Prince has these side projects that people thought were 8 or 9 band members plus Prince, and he wrote the arrangements. And it turns out it's one sax player and then Prince playing everything else.
Wow.
And just puts it out under a different title so it doesn't mess with anything he's doing for his brand. Yeah, what's it like to be that crazy? Sounds crazy, but was a Gemini, so
So
we get some
can't
of
be
the
too
spirit.
surprised, right?
Well, I feel that's where your skills as an accountable person, as an organized person, that's where you just get the edge on the game, a little bit of crazy and a whole lot of help on the clutter.
Organized crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to help you move was kind of organized crazy. I didn't think I helped much, but I showed up in a good mood,
You were so helpful.
I just threw shit in boxes and hoped that it made it to your next location.
And it did.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of you. Not because of my big old belly.
Well, okay, fair enough. You did choose to do that 6, 7 months?
Yeah, 7, 8 months.
It was a tough game.
Crazy.
How old is baby now?
14 months.
Oh my gosh.
So she is 1 and 2 months old.
Thank you for letting us all be around to meet her and have our minds blown by her cuteness, her curliness as well.
Oh my gosh, it's
Those
getting
eyes
bigger.
just looking at you.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. What's been the most surprising thing about like the personality side of motherhood?
Ooh, her personality.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Your personalities together more of.
I can't say that any of it is surprising. I prayed for her to be a little more like me than her dad. So I'm glad she is.
Yeah.
But it is so weird to watch because I am looking at myself. You know, when I talk about my personality, you know, how observant I am. I watch people. I've kind of always been like that. I can't say that I'm necessarily as quiet as I used to be, but quiet watching.
Mm-hmm.
She has done that since she was 2 months old. And she has picked up on so much. Even at her age, she's able to do dance moves and, you know, getting the choreography down already. And it's because of how observant she is, though. It's amazing.
I can't imagine the power duo that will eventually happen.
Yes.
Like, do you hope to jam with your
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No question. As soon as possible.
Well, how would you kind of set that out for your kid? I always think about, like, what age am I going to start putting kid in lessons, you know?
You know, I say as soon as possible in my head to that as well, but I hope to at least be able to start her out, you know, with those lessons. And then we'll probably have to transition because she won't listen to mama after a while.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want a parent to teach me how to play something. I think I'd want a parent to play with me.
Sure.
You know, I've always hoped that I could put my kid in lessons and take lessons at the same time as them. So we're practicing these things around each other. And
I love that.
Yeah, because I feel like it, especially if I can get them on piano, which it's a piano player's world now. Like, you can't not. And I think about like Meehan and Devin, like those guys started at 3. And you can always tell when someone's like, as easy as they talk, they do that. Whatever that thing is. It's just a different freedom in that.
Yeah. It is the language.
So I don't care if they like it or not. Like, you and me and Dad are taking piano lessons.
Well, see,
now.
and that's the other thing, though, because I was just about to say, what if she don't want to do no kind of music? And I want to respect that.
I think it's good for them. You know,
It is.
It's just like, here's the excuse. Your brain's developing at a pace that I can throw anything at you, and you're going to be good at it. And I'm horrible as an electrician. So you got to figure this shit out. Because
Right.
Dad's been on YouTube, and I don't know what I'm doing down here. You're going to learn the odd tasks I don't know how to do.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing I
So
think
we need to
about,
convince. Is that what
think
you're
about the
saying?
technology curve that we're going to go through by the time that, you know, that they're your age talking to
Wait,
talking to you
we're
about
gonna
what's
be
going
the
on.
ones who don't know how to push the button.
I had the realization that we're going to be the ones that the
How
scammers
to
come
turn it
after.
on. Right. Oh my
Which
gosh.
is like, I'm a prince with a lot of money who wants to treat you right, but you got to help me get out of jail. Like, I was on vacation. And you end up
You're
wired.
so empathetic. You'll fall for it.
I've always wanted to be a princess. I mean, that shit could be so. But you know, when you hear these, my fiance was talking about one of her coworkers. She was on the phone, and he's like, "You need me to PayPal who?" Like, it's just like, got a scam call about opening a PayPal account and sending some money. It's like, it's confusing, and it gets better and better every day, and
It
people's trying to
does.
rip you off. And your kids have to be like, "No, you're just being old. Like, don't fall for that shit again."
Right. Mm-hmm. I tell my grandma all the time. Where you buying that from? No.
Yeah. Let's back up. Let's empty your Amazon cart really quick. Like,
Right.
unload the gun. You know?
She's still waiting on something in the mail.
Well, I think it's been crazy to watch the addiction for all of us of like having a box on your porch, but especially for a generation that like can't go anywhere as much. You know,
Yeah,
like as you
yeah.
start to lose your mobility, you look for excitement and things.
Yeah.
And when you're just using your at-home devices, like it's really easy to succumb to. I'm always looking forward to something.
It's true. It's true. I'm an Amazon queen.
What's the dumbest thing you've ever bought on Amazon? I would have to review my cart to answer that question.
Me too. Let me
Anything-
get back to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, anything you regret off the top of your head?
No. I'm not that crazy. I
I
like my money, so I ain't spending wildly.
I tried to get one of those like keyboard covers that has the shortcuts on it so I can work more efficiently.
Listen, I saw that and I was like, literally, I turned my face up like that. So the fact that you got it.
When also, like, think about the crumbs you put under your keyboard and whatnot. It's like, no, this could save me a lot. So, like, I go through the whole list. Like, I make sure I got the right one. This shit comes to my door, and I'm off by, like, a quarter of an inch, and, like, just doesn't fit right on there. Like, I tried to use it. I mean, there's a lot of metaphors I can use for that are super inappropriate, so I'm just going to leave it there. But, like, it's a bag on it,
Wow.
So I toss it forward. I'm like, I'm fucking done with this. I was so angry about it.
Okay, but how much were you out?
$12.50.
Okay.
And I regret it every day.
Be better if it was half that, but.
Yes. What's been the most convenient mom device that you've gotten? Because I can't imagine how many things. It's like the acquisition list just to make sure you can actually parent is huge. And then the things that really made a difference.
You need so much space to be a parent. You
So much
just need
space, just like
just
raw room.
space, so much space. And I don't like clutter. I'm saying that loosely because I'm not the neatest person in the world. But I don't like having too much stuff. And, the closer you are to being a parent, the more it feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I'm like, people are like, we're going to get you this and you need that and you need this stroller and seat and swing. And I'm like, no, please no. I don't want it. I don't want it. But I would say the best device I have for me being a nice mama is the wipe warmer.
What is that? oh my God. Just like the moist towelette, like you put it in like a little,
it's a little
easy bake oven kind of a
it's a little just device. I love using that.
I feel like that's a device I might dabble in myself. You know what I mean? Like there's temptation, like a moist towelette, warmed. Okay, outside.
After using that for her, I absolutely want a towel warmer.
Okay, yes. I hear people talking about their bidets too much, and then you hear people talking about the bidets that have like the warm water.
Whoa.
They're on a different level where I'm like, whoa, back up. Like before you go down memory lane, let me
Wow.
take 2 feet back.
Oh my goodness.
Honestly, it's one of my favorite things. It just like breaks down barriers between friends. It gets real. But this is just like a device where like clearly change your baby's life.
It changed her life. I mean, it didn't wake her up, so much when I had to change her diaper in the middle of the night, you know?
When you think about what your perception is at that point in time, like you're trying to get in this baby's head all day, just imagining what she's experiencing. And it's just like, oh my gosh, everything feels wrong. It's the middle of the night and then
She has no idea. When she was first born, she was wide awake between 1 and 3 a.m. And I was
like the whole first
every night.
Oh my
every
God.
night. That was her, like, she was up.
Yeah. Did you ever have a point in your life where you were a 1 to 3 a.m. person?
COVID.
Okay.
It
So
was
at least
weird.
you had some familiarity,
It was
like you could get
when
back
COVID
in the
happened, my whole body shifted. Like I was wide awake from like midnight to 10 a.m. and then I would crash.
That's brutal.
It was so weird.
Were you working
I might as
remotely
well
at all
have been
during
working.
COVID?
I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't.
What were you doing with your time?
Let me think back.
Now that we got no Amazon list for that,
I was buying things on Amazon in 2020 for sure.
I can't. There's a lot of awful jobs during that part where it's like I think about what I went through in the nursing world, but then you think of an Amazon warehouse job during COVID.
Oh no!
It's like, oh my gosh, it's like having to lick the floor of a Costco like every single day. It's like that's just the worst task you could ever have.
It is. But you know what I was doing? I was actually building my business, my brand,
Nice.
my stuff like that.
And when you say that, like, how'd you start that process?
I took a couple, just watched other people do what they do. And then went and got my LLC and, made a few T-shirts.
Nice.
And, just kind of put myself out there on social media, stuff like that. So.
Yeah. And do you feel like there's like a new era of your branding now that's like, you've been taking a little bit of time off. Now it's back to full-scale gigging, right? Like,
yeah.
and there's some music that you've had that you're considering, or is that kind of like?
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
That's why you're here, Charice. We're gonna listen to this. If you keep holding back on me, friends, the truth is, Charice for maybe 9 months has been just baiting me with like, I got music, but I'm not gonna show you, and I'm just.
Yeah, let's just be honest. 9 months plus 9 more months.
Probably.
It's been a while.
It's a weird feeling though. To if you're holding on to a block of music,
Yeah.
dropping the whole thing and then having nothing there is also a terrifying prospect.
Yeah.
And also the finality of just saying, here it is.
Sure.
Do you have any feelings about when you want to do that and how you want to do that?
I don't have any feelings around when. I have been thinking a lot about how, though. I'd like there just to be a period of time that I'm able to talk a lot about where this music came from and, just show myself behind it. I don't know why I feel like I need to explain, but I do.
Yeah. We got plenty of time today if that's something you want to go into. I totally get like going stream of consciousness with it is kind of an odd way, but like just tell me like where'd you start with an idea is going down on paper?
Sure, I can do that. I'm always humming, always just making something up in my head, and that's usually where I start with a song. So I'm using my voice recorder to just record whatever it is that is coming out of me. And then starting to kind of discover what I'm feeling behind that. And then later, usually I'll sit down and then try to put some words to it. One song that I did end up writing and recording, I was able to get out in 30 minutes. I don't know. It was just kind of an explosion.
Yeah.
And that was really unusual and quick for me because I'm super analytical, and I just, it's my least favorite one, I have to say. But I was able to just write it, get it recorded, everything done. But it felt good to be able to just, because I'm still saying something in the song, even though it's my least favorite.
Yeah. And is it just conceptually your least favorite or musically?
Musically. Yeah, musically.
And is that a simplicity issue?
Probably. Well, it needs to be more simple than it actually is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's a touching moment as a songwriter for something just to fall out in front of you and to have no explanation. It's like that's the muscle you're working on. When you take time on shitty days with no inspiration just to jot something down, you're getting in that frame. So when a good idea does come, it can just fall out.
Yeah.
But then it's hard to judge what it is or reshape what it is once it's here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a preciousness about that. And like, there's something about trying to take the picture where if something keeps moving, then it's going to blur and you don't get the idea of it in the song. It's just mush.
Yeah. Yeah. I think us as musicians, we have to be okay with accepting this is what it is. And, whatever ideas or things that I would like this song to sound like could be another one. You know what I mean? Just take that and move on.
And as mainly a vocalist, how'd you feel in the recording process with these? With, like you said, you have to take your hands off of how the song kind of shapes up, especially when you're not the person putting the instrumentation behind it.
Yeah.
There's so much compromise.
When I did these songs, it was a huge learning curve for me because it was my first time. I'm laughing because I thought about naming my EP my first time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Is that still on the table?
Yes.
Okay, cool. It's great just to hear some of those things because especially the way that you just brought that up. Like it felt good, and hopefully it feels good to say it.
It does.
Because then you can at least recognize yes or no. Like when I was changing my name, like I remember writing down as many as I could think and then just saying them. And you had to take a second. And I had I thought Matt Fusebox at one point in time. Because Fusebox was a childhood nickname of mine that I hated. Or just Fusebox. Thank God because I have so many other things for Fusebox down the road.
Oh.
No. This is my plan. But it's weird the way that, like, you can't objectify your ideas until they're in front of you or around you,
Yeah.
because just inside of your head, it's like, it's not what it really is. It's just what you think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in this recording process, like, the compromise as a vocalist to the music, like, was that the hardest part for you?
I would say it was difficult. But I am, I was in and still am in a place where I can completely accept, the artistry of anyone that I'm working with. And not accept, like, settle, but appreciate that, that artistry and what they can bring to the table. And I think, when it comes to writing and recording, you have to kind of have that flexibility and, rubbery feeling to whatever it is that you're trying to put out,
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it. And if there's something that, instrumentally an artist is doing, or that is their way of doing, that I'm not, I don't feel for this song, I feel like, I can just move on, kind of step over here and work it out with someone else and see which one I like and things like that. So
Yeah. So did you work mainly with one group of musicians?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Specifically one musician.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's. I feel like that's almost a better approach, though, because as you compromise, the compromise gets more consistent.
Yeah.
Rather than when you bring in 10 people,
Sure.
you do have 10 opinions. Even if someone's going to be light-handed, the way that they feel the music and interpret
Right.
the music is very precious. And, like, in the line of work that you and I have gotten to know each other, I think what you said is so pertinent. Like, you have to be able to appreciate people for what they bring to the table, because if you try to compare people to what others have brought to the table, turns out you're not eating nothing tonight. It's like, turns out
Yeah.
this is not going to be what you want it to be. But if you take things for what they are, it's a feast. It's a wonderful time. But
Absolutely.
letting go
you
of
put
it.
it so much better than I did.
Fuck no, I'm the worst at it. It's like you're such a good, comforting person to me in those moments where we're on a break and I'm banging my head against a wall.
Oh, that part. Yeah.
Well,
True.
You're a very good friend to me in that, because you trust that someone sees that you care, but also wants you to get the fuck over it. It's just like,
right.
clearly this isn't serving you any purpose.
Yeah.
So would you
Yeah.
please pucker up a little?
Well, and it's for your own good,
Yeah,
It's not really for me.
Well, but anytime you can share that with somebody,
Yeah.
where it's just like the comfort to let go and just be here is
Yeah.
something that we have a hard time giving ourselves permission for, rather than others. So
I definitely find myself trying to help people give themselves permission to just accept and flow with whatever it is. It is okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I think one of the when people talk about someone's aura or someone's just like the feelings around someone, like, I think a lot of that comes down to their presence. How much of them are they dedicating to right now versus how many things are they multitasking in the back. It's like, how many programs is your computer running in the background? Like, that thing is a cluttery mess. So, like, learning to turn that shit off is
Yeah.
such a benefit. And I think that's one thing that you've always done very well. And do you trace that back to a time and place where you learned that skill?
I think it's an ongoing practice. I wouldn't even call it a skill. I think it is something that you have to practice doing every day. And I actually listened to your episode, I think it was 99, where you were talking a little bit about being present and being in the moment. I've noticed that is really important to you.
Mm.
And I'm curious for you where that come from. Why is that important to you? Because for me, it's my own sanity. It's I do need to shut this computer down. It's, I do love to get to know people. So I want to shut anything else out that's going on around, us, so that I can really be here now, is something that a friend of mine says all the time. So, yeah, for me, it's just a sanity thing. It's for my own good,
Yeah.
to be present.
Yeah, I think there's, like, you got to calm down the pace of things. Like I feel similarly where I think at a certain point in my life I started to notice how much the pace of every day starts to pick up.
Woo.
And I think that's as life prepares you with expectations and experiences, you start just take things for the mundane and blow by them. And I realized I was getting less and less out of my life. Like, and just like in my general experiences, I was not participating in the things I was participating in. So trying to back up from that, I was like, you should do less and be there more.
Yeah.
If you want to find yourself with something to show.
Yeah.
You know.
It really is kind of, it gives you a minimalistic view of life, of, not just your space, but of your mind, of your existence.
Yeah. Well, exactly in that, like, I think minimalism is trying to let go of the things you wanted to add. Me and Em were in Asheville recently, and we went to, it's like an art district that's down by one of their rivers, and just, you get to walk in people's studio while they're working on a piece and chat with them, buy some art. I bought 2 of the prints. I might go over and grab them in a second, but I asked the artist, let me just grab it really quick.
Okay. Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're these very abstract, oil paintings, I believe you call it. I don't even know. I'm so uncultured. But I asked her, like, how do you make something like that breathe? Like, how do you give it space? Because you filled all the space, but, there's layers to that.
Yeah.
She's like, it's the things that you don't add to it, the things that you thought about putting there that you didn't put there so that things could be their own and whatnot. And I just found like that in your day-to-day, letting go of your expectations or the experiences that made this mundane, whether it's a sunset or a good phone call or a kick-ass meal or just a reason to stretch out and to appreciate your own body and the skin you're in. Those kind of things have made me far happier than anything else I could have done with that time.
Yeah.
So like the practices of having nothing, of just like sitting in a sauna in complete silence and letting my head just sift through all the thoughts that I didn't need to have and just let go back to focusing on your breathing, or like to be in a position to stretch and just say like, okay, I can't go work on my computer. I can't do that just because I thought it. I can't stop now. I just have to be here and let that shit pass.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I think for me it started even so far back. I have an appreciation for the fact that I kind of came to this recognition pretty early in life, because born and raised in Chicago, a city that never sleeps. It is go, go, go as fast as you can, when you live there. And when I left for college, I pretty much knew I wasn't going back. And that was the main reason why, because that just wasn't good enough for me to just never be here now. You know what I mean? Chicago is a wonderful city. It is a great place to visit. I've always told people, go, please go. It's a great place to visit. But it's different when you live in a space that doesn't give you a chance to breathe, And even when you're trying to in a place like that, everybody around you is like, you're moving too slow. You know what I mean? So
I think that might, in addition to all the other displacement that happened during the pandemic, I think people realize that, like, you need literal space.
I loved it.
Yeah, to be away from people, to not have other people's concerns push your day forward and be on their regiment and whatnot. Like, those kind of things are heavy. I can't imagine having a real job for those reasons, to be on someone else's beck and call and things like
probably
that.
Probably one reason I am no longer on anyone's.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the other aspects of your self-employment, because I think the most interesting thing that you recently added was like the booking and management of artists. And being an artist, like what's your biggest values in that?
What gives me life when it comes to that is being able to supply for other artists. You know, you kind of know what other people are going through, and you know how hard it is to get opportunities sometimes, and you know what people need as far as, you know, financially, or you know if they're really trying to put themselves out there for their own name and brand and stuff like that. So I love being able to serve other musicians. You know, it's also fun to work with my partner in crime, Johnny Disco. He's amazing, and all his you know, dad jokes I laugh at. So
His dad jokes drive me nuts. We'll bring
make
John
me
back
chuckle.
on. We'll talk about this. He'll have to get me scotch drunk if he wants me to laugh at that shit. I mean, it's just intolerable. But John is someone that he's a musician you can compare to no other.
yes,
And that's been a hard thing that I've learned in the years with gigging with John and gigging without John, where it's like you can't expect this character to be anything else you've ever seen, and you can't expect anyone else to be this character. It's the notes he plays and the things he says. It's like, I love someone that just cares to be that weird. You know,
Yeah.
that's my man.
Yeah.
Who's been the most impactful bandmate you've ever had, or like musical partner?
you.
Bullshit. You're just
No.
saying that because you're
No.
on here.
Mm-mm.
Well,
No.
then we have work to do because I need these motherfucking songs, Charice. You make me crazy. You make me absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I'd say it's a tie between you and actually the musician who helped me record all of my songs. So without him, Davin Roberson, without him, I wouldn't have recorded anything.
What was the introduction to doing that? Like, how did you know him leading up? And
You know what? So, like I said, you know, kind of have dabbled in music a little bit. Got a few piano lessons when I was in that choir academy. Took a break, did a little bit of piano in high school, and then, long story short, decided I was going to go and do some piano lessons. I understand the basics. I want to be able to accompany myself, you know. So I found Davin on Facebook, and September 2020, I think, reached out to him. We started doing lessons on his porch because of COVID, you know. It was great. And then he heard me sing, and he was like, no, we're not doing this anymore.
yeah, you didn't do that the first lesson. You didn't sing for him.
No.
Just didn't bring it up.
We were there to play.
That's some shocking shit. You know, like especially if I met you in an office job and one day I just heard you rip one, I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Excuse me," let alone like heard you like, no offense, dink around like a beginner on piano. It's just like you're telling me like you took lessons,
It's
but
not
like
good.
exactly, you're here to fuck up for this person and them help you, but then it turns out you're just a G. You know?
Yeah. He's like, I was trying to play. It was actually If I Ain't Got You, Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
You know, trying to play a little bit. He's like, I want to hear you sing. And so I'm like singing. He's like, why don't you have music out? You know, so and I'm like, well, actually, and
Ba-bam.
he just helped me through that whole process.
Yeah. And, you know, I think what you mentioned of wanting to accompany yourself, having someone that is continually handing you the reins, trying to teach you those kind of things,
Yeah.
because it is super stressful to take your secondary and bring it in as the only partner to your main thing. It's
Yes.
like, especially when you would focus on that. It's
Right.
like when I was a kid and I'm a guitar player, singing was the most excruciating part of it. But now I
Really?
love singing.
Yeah.
But those years of just eating it and just having awful gigs paid off and making me very happy, you know? So when you're someone like yourself that's gotten all these opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, would you say though that knowing guitar made it easier for you to focus on the singing part, like because you had that?
I always think about like you have a passive activity
Mhm.
and you have an active activity. I can only think about one of those things going on. But thankfully, the more I've practiced on guitar, the more certain things I've wanted to do are passive. Like they're in that category of just like, no, I can pull from this bag. So, you know, the runs that are so second nature to you that you can say like, I'm just going to turn, but this is going to be comfortable. But I think there's something very different about singing passively is an odd thing.
Yes.
And we can all do it. You can be thinking about something different on a gig, but to be that impactful in the music and the way that piano especially is, like, I get more intimidated by the piano when I think about a guitar is 6 notes max, so that's all I got to worry about. Most of those are doubles, You can do 10 of these things. Like, you can make some really thick chords, and you can sound really thin on a piano.
Yeah.
So it's hard to master that instrument.
I'm still working on it.
I think just having the groundwork that you do of just like, here's a catalog of music I know I'll cover. Here's a catalog of music I know I've written. And now I got 3 hours in front of me. And if I don't practice, Friday's going to suck. Friday's going to suck so bad. That pressure of failure is so crucial to loving it. But boy, is it awful, you know?
Yeah.
That's what the Kings have been for me the whole time. It's like learning to play that job in these bands of just like someone else's idea of a lead guitar player and backing up on these vocals and leading a band like that. It's like, that's not how I learned to do it. I was just playing by myself. Then I brought in guys that would play exactly what I told them. And now it's like, learn the record. And I have none of that education. I don't know how to make my books. I don't know how to do any of this. Just beating my head against it. And now I feel like I'm somewhere with it. I just don't like doing them very much for the same reasons.
Yeah.
But like, at least I can,
Right. So are you saying that I should book my first solo gig? And
Yeah.
just...
I'm saying book an hour and deal with the consequences of that.
Wow.
And it's the same for touring too. Like, I asked a buddy once, like, hey, if I want to get in a new market, what do I do? He goes, lie to somebody and say you're bringing 50 people.
I love that.
And bring 15, you know?
Yeah.
If you can bring 20, like, you're going to have to start somewhere. And you're not burning a bridge by taking a risk on yourself. Like, that's the best investment you could ever make in yourself.
Sure.
Is that time and those crucial consequences and that eerie pressure. Especially with someone like yourself, where it's like there's so much you can lean on in this category. But this is definitely going to be the thing that you need to put that time on.
You're right.
But also the best thing about learning your hour forcefully is if I ain't got you, it's like, okay, I just got a new chord progression underhand and a whole lot of new feel and bounce. And a couple of those times I bounced in the wrong place. And that's the one change I needed for this to be my song now.
Right.
There's so many songs that appeared 8 months after learning something else because you digested the music and you gave it your own spin. Like, that's the recycling of all of our heroes in the best way.
Yeah, for sure.
Was there any music you really leaned on while you were in the process of writing this album?
No.
Really?
No.
What would you say it's most akin to? Like, if you were going to throw me some artists that you want to pay homage to in this.
Whitney Houston.
Solely Whitney?
First,
'Kay.
Whitney.
Okay.
I'm a big, ballad girl, so some soul, some R&B. I'd say a little bit of, Jill Scott and Lauryn Hill, stuff like that.
I'm finding out that, the music of someone's, 5th grade through senior year of high school is their bread and butter, and if you don't ask about that, you don't really find out. What was that music for you? Because sometimes I think that's where some of these hidden gems of your...
Number 1 was Beyonce.
Okay.
Way back when.
Do you feel her at all on the album, or not really?
No.
Okay.
No, I grew out of that.
Yeah. And what do you mean you grew out of that? I feel
a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I would say old school Beyonce is much different than new school Beyonce.
Yeah.
So she definitely used to do a lot more ballads, way back when, her Dangerously in Love album, for example. And that was, when I was in high school. So I can still get with all of that and could liken it to, some of the stuff that I did for my EP. But yeah, it's just different.
Yeah. Well, it's weird when, like you said, it's like there's a new version of that person that I'm not really thinking this is a part of. But why do you say ballads so, so much emphasis on that? It's like, do you just need a slow song to get it out? Or you just love the vocal of that, the space?
I do love the vocal of that space.
'Kay.
I'm a vocalist, so of course I do.
Yeah.
One of the songs I'll tell you that I wrote and recorded, I actually start very open. It's like a little bit of loose piano, and I'm just like, all you hear is vocal. And, so it's just this really open space, and there's no rhythm, no beat. It's just words,
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing I really like about ballads.
Yeah, well, especially when you talk about like a vocalist's freedom over something that's just kind of like slow moving, very ambient, very very open, like you said.
Yeah.
It's a lot of these runs that people have different ways of internalizing them. Like, were you someone that would hear a ballad you loved, take that one run, and just kill it over and over again, or is it song by song?
Song by song for me. Another artist that was definitely I was a huge fan of, but she died way too early, was Aaliyah. So she redid a song, At Your Best. And I'd say one of the songs that I wrote is a little similar to that, a little.
I don't know if I've ever listened to any Aaliyah, so I will listen to that before the CP to get hyped. But now you're kind of driving me crazy because, again, like you said, maybe 18 months you've been holding this back on me, and now it's just like, now you're making me get all emotional about it.
You're like, let me hear it.
Well, exactly. It's like, God damn it. But whatever.
I got you. I
Okay.
promise I'll let you hear it.
What about the people? The people are now going to feel my pain.
Well,
Why do you think I brought you?
You know what? Maybe that's, what I know, not maybe. I know that's actually something that I need.
Yeah, we'll put a date down before we get off this show. We've only been recording for 51 minutes. You stay as long as you need, okay? Okay?
I got you guys, I promise.
Yeah. Also, what the fuck is going on up there? I think one of my dogs
Beating
is...
the meat.
I think it was time for one of those jokes, so I think you do win this round. I was going to say I think it's one of my dogs dribbling a basketball, but, obviously you won this round, so moving on. So how many songs are on the EP? Because I kept saying album.
I have 4.
Okay.
Yeah. One is a cover, and 3 of them I wrote.
What's the cover? You don't know? Charice.
This is how long it's been, though.
Yeah.
Because I haven't touched it. I haven't done anything with it.
Yeah. Well, tell me about putting it on the back burner. Was it a conscious thought once it kind of got in your hands, or?
No, not really. It just kind of happened because of baby.
Yeah.
I was very deep in. I had literally just finished it when I found out I was pregnant. So it was like a flip switch,
Yeah.
My focus was different,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that hasn't changed. And, most parents will tell you it won't change for a long time. So I'm going to have to figure out how to balance the two, you know?
Well, I've heard a couple of times in the last couple of months, and, like parenting is something that's still far out of my life, but getting older and seeing my friends do it has changed the way I think about what my parents did for me. And a lot of folks have said recently that you live for your kids. You everything that you do in your life is for your children once they come along. And before that, you didn't know that kind of facility of your heart could be there, but it's true.
Yeah.
But learning to live your life alongside your kids is one of the scariest things too, because it involves letting go and letting them live their lives.
Right.
You
right.
know, I feel for people that their kids move away and they don't get to have, their mini-me, their best friends around to live life with.
Well, and on the flip side of that, you got to figure out how to still live life while you're living life for your kids, because they won't be around all the time. And then who are you after they're gone,
Yeah. How many folks lose their sense of identity?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's why you have high school football dads. Those guys that like to drink on Fridays. I went to a very football-centric high school.
Yes.
And, you really did see some parents that were so wrapped up in their children that you could see they were screaming for a sense of identity themselves. And that's a very peculiar thing that I think we teased a little mercilessly at the time, but you realize it is one of the sad conundrums of doing the greatest thing with this life, which is bringing more life and treating it to be best version of you can find. But
yeah, to the point where I am already working on not doing that, like talking to my therapist regularly about it.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, but within that and having this content there, how do you feel like your artistry is going to bring that sense of self back? Self-priority, at least.
That's a good question. You know, as much as I am a 24/7 parent, I have to be able to and actually follow through on taking time out for just me, you know? And I may not have anything to do tomorrow, but she has a babysitter for a little while, and I can go and write something or hum something if I want to, you know?
Yeah.
Without, Mama! So...
Yeah, and especially
that's
when
important.
If you're blessed with good people and support systems, you should feel great about utilizing those things because that's also the flavor of life, and not making it a chore to go on a walk and think about a song and rewrite lyrics. And
absolutely,
you know, one thing that I get asked a lot by people who care about me who don't do this is when are you gonna take a break? They think that all I do is work, and it's like, unfortunately, this is all play, you know, and
I love that.
I'm having a sick amount of fun, and I drive myself through a fucking wall every once in a while, but like the joy of doing this is unlike anything I've ever felt in my life.
Right.
And it seems like you're someone that feels that way too. Like
I do.
The love that you have for a performance, even on the longest night, is so real. When was the first time you felt like that kind of fire?
Tell me how I'm supposed to breathe with no air.
Really?
Chris Brown and Jordan Sparks. I was on the stage in high school, and we did this rendition of that song. I'll never forget it, though, because there was something about it that I was able to perform for these. It was like students, incoming students, you know, they were thinking about going to the high school and stuff like that. And I don't know. It was just me and Jeremiah. I remember him. This little duet that we did. But it kind of put a stamp on, I love doing this.
Yeah.
And I was also at that time barely getting over my stage fright, Matt, believe it or not. I had the worst stage fright with shake and
yeah. People are like, she's got a weird vibrato.
Exactly.
She quivers a lot. I think, you know, everyone has a stage fright because everyone wants to control what people think about them.
Yeah.
You know, like that's one of the hardest things about making your brand and doing those kind of things and being vulnerable like that is trying to have any grip on who you are to these people. And it's like, that ain't up to you.
Yeah. And the scariest part of it for me, at least in my head at the time, was the people that I would see again tomorrow. I never wanted to crack in front of them or, you know, sound crazy in front of them. If it was, you know, someone that I don't know and I knew this would be the only time I'd ever see them, it was a little easier to get past the, you know, scariness of it all.
Yeah. Did you feel different when it came to singing your songs, at least in the studios? Have you had like a live performance with these tunes yet?
I have had one, if sort of.
Okay.
And it was in a private venue. I actually wrote my first song and sang my first song at my sister's wedding. So I sang her down the aisle. So
Did you cry? Did you cry before or
it
after?
was super duper hard not to. I probably teared up a little bit, you
You're
know,
strong,
but
though.
I had to not look at her, you know, and because my stepdad, who walked her down the aisle, who is pretty much my dad, he's so emotional, and he's, you know, so it was seriously.
That's what everyone wants to see, though. It's like
It
people
was
want to see the
amazing.
groom cry
It
a
was
decent
amazing,
amount.
but
The bride just a little bit, like
Yeah.
no makeup rain, just a little
and
bit.
Daddy just
Yeah, they
kept-
want to see Dad lose his shit.
he did.
Like, who's paying for this party? The guy who's weeping.
Yep. Yeah, so that was amazing being able to write that song for her, and she, surprised her husband with that, So it was really cool to be able to do
Yeah.
that.
But like that's high stakes. That's high.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
Did that feel different though in like your performance to have it be of your own?
It did feel a little different. It felt a little more vulnerable. Singing is already vulnerable. There's a vulnerable aspect to that, but it definitely felt a little different because how many people in this room know this is my song and, what are they going to think? And I will see most of these people tomorrow.
Yes.
So yes, for sure.
Well, and then for two people, it's the everything moment too.
Yeah. But I did let my sister hear it beforehand, and she cried, so I was like, okay, I've done something right, you know.
Is that on the EP?
It's on the EP, yes.
Wow. What's the name of that song?
Forever.
Oh, my God. Charice, you're a cold motherfucker for this. I expect an email tonight.
I promise you won't even have to wait that long. You got me in here. I can gift that to you.
I appreciate your humbleness. Thank God. That's the kind of moment though that songwriting is really there for. Like I was talking to someone the other day about how when you used to listen to songs on the radio, there was a shared experience. There wasn't a ton to listen to. But you're listening to it at the same time as the guy in the car next to you.
True.
And you roll up and both your windows are down. That shit kind of bumped a little harder. Like those are things that I kind of remember as a kid, and I can't imagine when that is the culture. When you're in high school, when songs are coming out that way in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, like that's special for a lot of people. Versus now, there's so much variety in the world that if you choose to go sifting, you can find a song that the only person that loves it is you, motherfucker.
Yes.
And that moment for you and that artist, like, it could be your sister or it could be a stranger on the other side of the world that doesn't speak your language. But the song has completed its cycle then.
Yeah.
It's like it has served more than its purpose because it is literally nothing. It's a bunch of air moving.
Yeah.
But it meant something to somebody, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing that because it's invisible, it just sits around you.
Mm-hmm.
Someone can literally walk through it. It can be passive. It can be a soundtrack. And there's something that's going to be so subliminal for the rest of time when your sister's spinning your record over and over again.
Right.
Can you imagine the money you're going to make off her? Like $17 over a lifetime.
At least every anniversary.
I'd expect more than that. And, the way I'm going to go pitching this, like, there's going to be some other brides balling at this. It's going to be a playlist called Charice Melt Your Mind. It's just a lot of emotion.
Yes.
Do you think you're going to start writing before you release this? Like, start writing the next?
Yes.
Is that part of letting it go, is having something in the tank?
Absolutely,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah.
Because these Subarus don't run on electric. You know what I'm saying? You heard, player?
Well, and the other part is though that I need to hear some of the stuff that you're saying to me though, because it's just a little tough to let it go, and it's a different form of stage fright. I think that's probably the best way to describe it,
It's stage fright with permanence, and again, it's something that you don't get to judge someone's first impression, and that could be it. I need to hear my own advice in that, because right now I'm sitting here with an EP of shit that I just need to finish and say is, you should be lying if you say anything's your best. Like, you can always keep going over things if you want to, but at some point you got to take your hands off and say, I like it. You know, like if you reach a point where you're enjoying it the way that you could enjoy, like to the best, and it has something in the corner where you're like, I could go back for that, but that is the seal that you need in your life.
I love that. Yeah, you're right.
I'm beating my head against the wall because this material's old to me. This is stuff that I should have had out a long time ago, so I don't get to have the same connection of fell out of my head in 30 minutes. I chopped at it for a couple of weeks.
Right.
I started tracking, and here it is. It's like I'm backlogged by my own ego and need to fulfill this thing.
Okay, well then we both need to set some dates and
Don't tell
get
me
it
what to
done.
do, Charice. You're coming to my house and you're.
Whatever we got to do.
No, you're right. And I would love for you to sing on some aspects of this new EP.
You got it.
One thing that you did for me that I can't thank you for enough is figuring out a part of not impatient, funkadelic that I didn't have. Where
Really?
it's like, it's funny when you write a song in 30 minutes or a couple of weeks and you get it to 90%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you're like, could be better, but I don't know. So give it the kiss, take your hands
Sure.
off, and someone walks in and goes, here's 7 more. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, here's a quick fix.
Yeah.
And those gifts of collaboration is when we can all get so crazy about who owns what and who deserves what. Like, those kind of touches on songs that change your life kind of money
Yeah.
ruin the creative experience. And it's a really messy world right now with people trying to figure out their rights as songwriters and
Sure.
whatnot.
Absolutely. You're right.
It's very heady.
Ooh. Yeah.
When it came to like your EP, did you guys work on anything in terms of like your publishing and all that? Was it kind of a 50-50 thing? You don't really need to disclose that. But
No, yeah, it was simple, and I think so far in my experience, people out here at the very least, kind of respect each other in that regard. So it's 100% mine, basically.
that's the important thing. And I like the way you phrased it, because there's an opportunity in the world right now where there's major hubs for everything, but you don't need to be there to start to learn from what's going on in those places. And it's like in a city like Cincinnati, it's honest people, that are trying to live the Midwestern dream
Mm-hmm.
of ice hockey during the winters and dumb shit. I don't care what it's gonna be, but your opportunity to retire one day is gonna depend on if these songs can do something good for your life while you sleep. The
Right,
passive
yeah.
income, and it's like there's not a lot to divvy up there too. So if you can pay people what they're worth now,
Exactly.
presently and patiently and understandably for what their time is, then you can walk away with a clean conscience. And also, the person who owns 100% is going to work hard to make this material go somewhere.
Right.
Versus the guy that owns 25 is not going to do shit for it.
That's
It's like
true.
that kind of thing drives me crazy to hear
Yeah.
about. So your band broke up and that material sits there and no one wants to look at it because you guys have animosity towards each other. And it's just like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
It's icky.
Yeah. It is. It is icky.
Yeah.
Is that one reason why you've,
Yeah, that's,
Really?
that's a reason why I don't have a band
Yeah,
necessarily.
okay.
I have guys in my life that I
Yeah.
adore, but I pay them every time they do something with me. I don't expect anything to be because they like me. Now that being said, the guys in my band have been extremely generous to me with their time
Yeah.
and what they charge me for their time and what I'm trying to put forward, because this isn't the most profitable gig in the world. But my long-term fear after having one band break up was like, I never want to restart again.
Gotcha.
I never want to be dependent on this guy doesn't want to be here, so the image doesn't work. I need new
Right.
photos and new bullshit. It's like,
Woo.
I'm just going to take care of me the best I can so that I can take care of the people and the things I care about. But I know who I got to play for at the end of the day. If I want to have 110% to give out, I got to focus on getting myself to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a weird thing, too, when folks are on the other end of, you're not a vocalist, you're just a musician.
Mm-hmm.
So the instrumental thing is even more difficult if
Yeah.
you want to dabble in that side of it. But it's just as important to have your material, to own your material, to take the risk of putting your name on something, taking the picture, and then monetizing it for the time that you're not actively there.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me, actually, I took some pictures for my EP, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, almost back to back found out I was pregnant, to the point that I was pregnant in those pictures. So it was kind of like this. I don't want to get too much into the details of
Yeah.
but it was, you're trying to create this image, and then I'm like, oh, my stomach's looking a little weird in these pictures, and then a few days later finding out, oh, that's why.
Yeah. Was that the photo shoot with Taylor, though?
Yes, it was.
I love those photos so
too.
much.
She's
You're
amazing.
so epic and beautiful
Thank
in those.
you.
It is so.
Oh, you haven't
so-
even seen the best of them. I feel like.
Well, quit fucking holding back on me, Charice. If I have to say it again on this podcast, then you got to give me a date for when this is coming out for
You
the
know what?
people.
I just need to play this after we're done.
Okay.
Play this from YouTube every single day.
Yeah,
and
I'll make
then-
you a hype reel of just me
There you
screaming.
go,
and just
yes.
all my fucks and my damn it's. And it's just like, and you're just doing deadlifts to this. Like, don't I have to put out an EP? Like, I was just getting yoked to this. Like, come up with crazy triceps. What if you started competing in amateur bodybuilding and dropped an EP?
How did you know my life?
You know, I've seen your supplement catalogs coming to your door. I have been stalking you to see these things, but like, let's put that aside. You shouldn't be taking that much creatine. Do you see some of these? I love watching videos on the internet of people dry scooping their pre-workout. Because I'm like, that's the kind of savagery that you need to go in there and just sit on your phone and not burn the calories that you need to be there for. Like, that's, you want to take a video of you torturing yourself, doing the wrong thing, like the not hard part of your workout, just being weird.
Yeah.
What a crazy thing that to be able to look back on those photos and say, like, she didn't even know. You know, like,
no.
this is a version of you that didn't have any idea what kind of turns you take, but it's such a point of pride to say, like, I took the picture at the right time.
Yeah.
I took my hands off at the right time. So now to release this, to drop it, it's just like, it's just a milestone in the road.
Yeah.
And as someone takes that journey as a listener, as a fan of yours, maybe that's the first step. Maybe they step in somewhere else. Like my experience with Mac Miller, I didn't listen to anything until the last album that they put together after he passed. And everyone found this to be so upsetting. And I think it's just one of the most perfect albums. It's called Circles. But it took me back in their catalog, and the interest in him as a person just grew immensely through that. So it's such a great time before this next EP might touch on who Charice is now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that is so different, you know?
It is. Yeah, total opposites.
If you could tell that Charice anything, what would it be?
That Charice? Oh,
Like right after that photo shoot, if you could have said like 2 sentences.
you look good, girl.
Gurrl. You look good, girl.
And just do it. I think, you know, is
With the fucking Nike swoosh.
without the Nike swoosh.
No. They coined
They got
it.
a movie coming out.
What Nike does?
Yeah.
Trash. Shitty. They can barely make shoes, yo. They're outsourcing our shoe production, and they suck. And they're like, I bet if we make a movie, our laces are gonna stop breaking for NBA players. Like
They're
bullshit.
gonna try.
That's absurd. Charice Rodgers should make a movie, but Nike should not.
Aw. Only with you, Matt.
I will co-star, but most of my scenes need to take place in a Loves or a Pilot because I have branding offers for both of them on the table.
Nice.
And I'm trying to get number one. You know, it's a complicated
Beautiful.
deal. Yeah, you understand. what
Yeah,
I'm
I
going
do.
for.
I do.
Why don't you tell them where to find you really quick?
Okay. Let's see. It depends on which one we're talking about.
Let's talk about your artistry
Mainly
first. Yeah.
Charice Rodgers music. Basically anywhere. Mainly Facebook and Instagram. And YouTube. Charice Rodgers music. Yeah.
Website, Charice Rodgers Music.
Website, ChariceRodgers.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
That goes hard.
Yep. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Just spell it right, y'all.
Okay. Anything else that you want to promote as far as your services, your real estate?
Like you said, yeah, that part. If
You're looking for someone to sing you into a home?
Yeah, if you guys need, singing services and, someone to sing you into a home, let me know.
Charice Rodgers, simpler than a song. And then she rolls out this fucking carpet. You walk in, you're like, it smells like so much lemon pledge in here. Like this lady must have been here for hours. You like the smell of lemon pledge?
You're joking, but how amazing would that be?
Lemon pledge I find overwhelming, but that's based on childhood trauma. I'm kidding. I cleaned a lot of glass table. And let's just say I was a deep smeller. Okay.
Wow.
Well, Charice, I love you. Thanks for being episode 100.
Yeah, I'm so glad I got to do this with you.
Well, Listen, motherfuckers, go see Charice Rodgers wherever you can. She is the most wonderful. I love you. Thanks for listening. And let me know. Talk some shit in the comments about the new upgrades, okay? We got new music, new cameras, and beautiful guests. Peace, players.